Welcome to the General Tire. Hold on, I almost screwed that intro up. I went back to what I've been saying for 10 years. Welcome to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Gardone. Back from break, we got our good friend Jim York with Pit Viper and numerous other, I don't know, what is your official job title, Jim? Just stuntman extraordinaire, like professional fun haver like Britt and I? Squirrel?
Yeah, just VP of stunts.
VP of stunts?
Just because I'm not professional enough to be a president.
Yeah. VP of stunts. I dig it. So, I don't know, man. You and I have known each other for, dude, we got, what, 5-6 years now, I think? I'm just trying to think back of how we actually originally got connected, dude. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute,
man.
I don't even know. I thought it was just Team Jim, like, you know, one of those things. There's something in the name.
Something in a name. Yeah, Britt goes, yeah, it used to be Clean Cut or something like that. I was like, oh, wow. Bust Jim under. Oh, man. So, yeah, you got a bunch of stuff going on. Obviously, you're doing all kinds of stuff with Pit Viper. I got to ask you first off, dude. I was laughing. I actually had this conversation about you the other day. I can't remember if Britt was there or not, but we were talking about your boat racing. And I'm like, dude, you're a wild man. Trav's a wild man. How the hell they decided to put you two in a boat together? Like, dude, to me, I'm just like, yeah, I love you guys both, but like, I love you guys both. But I'm like, neither one of you are backing down. Like,
that's
you
the definition.
Yeah, it's like it's the perfect. It's the best worst idea I think either of us have ever had, and that. It's the one thing, and as we both talked about it, because, like, yeah, Trav, obviously, like, just, I mean, that guy doesn't have a fear bone in his body, and when everybody says this isn't going to work, he just goes, all right, you wusses, like, step aside, watch this, and everything that shouldn't work, he somehow scrapes it by, makes it work, and lands whatever crazy thing he's got going on. Me, on the other hand, I can usually crash whatever, and Trav has just deemed it, I'm going to live forever. And that, like, we had actually a pretty in-depth conversation about it driving back from New York one time. And I go, he's like, people are built different and you're built different. And I'm like, nah. He's like, no, I've watched you crash stuff into things where your back should be broken in 3 places. You then get back in the vehicle because somehow it's still running and go do it again and crash harder and walk away. And I guess the case in point to that was we jumped a car at his house a couple 4th of July's ago. The guy next to me smashed his head against the windshield, bleeding all over the place. I walk out and I'm just like, we didn't make it. That sucks. So both of us in a boat together, though, and like the whole case in point there, I guess, back to the boat thing, this is the one thing that scares us. We both don't know what we're doing. We have no business being in that boat with a bunch of professionals that do this all the time. Somebody's going over, or it's gnarly. Like, the consequences are high. And it's the one thing I don't know how to crash, and I don't want to crash because I'm terrified of water. So it's the perfect storm of a good time and just me crapping myself every corner and every straightaway.
You know what? It's funny that you bring that up because dude, I'm nowhere near the level of you and Trav, but I like doing things that take me out of my comfort zone, stuff that I might not be good at, but that challenges me, or stuff that makes me uncomfortable. Like, a lot of people are really highly successful and they just stay in their lane and they just kill it. And I'm like, I actually like to go out and do things where I suck, you know what I mean? And then I have to get better and I can see the progression and things like that, you know? And it's like, to me, that's, I don't know. I love the challenge in it, you know? And I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily need to risk dying like you and Trav do, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and it is exactly that. And this the V-bottom style boats that we race, you don't get to rest. You don't get a straightaway that was the same as the last lap. You don't get a turn that was the same as the last lap. Yeah, we're racing in an oval, but you know what's always moving is the water. So I always compare it to, like, hey, imagine trying to keep an ice skate blade as straight as possible, but on ocean-sized waves. And that's basically what we're doing. And so it is one of those, I'm nowhere near perfect. I think me and Trav, too, have been in the boat together 3 times, and we're racing at the, like, you know, basically the pinnacle level of this V-bottom. There's faster boats, but they're just the faster boats are obviously easier to control with like the twin cat, like the they're more of a pontoon style boat versus these V bottoms, which is just complete chaos.
Yeah, I feel the pontoon style.
Well, you can see it. You can see it in your guys' eyes on the in boat, not in car, in boat footage. But watching like different things over the years with what Travis and you have done, and then seeing the intensity on your guys' face with every movement, every chime, every little, chop, you can tell that intensity. It definitely shows through on the camera.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely night and day. Like the perfect, I guess, stunt we just did together where we were literally told we were going to do it in front of an audience of like 100 to 150 people. And, some of the other people that were there, like, no, you guys can't do this stunt. You guys are like, someone's going to get seriously injured or die, and we can't have someone die in front of all these people. We and Trav look at each other and just like, whatever, like, okay, we'll do it the next day. And where we jumped a truck towing a boat over a 90-foot gap. And like we'd never jumped that kind of like tandem jump before. I was riding in the boat, Trav was driving the truck. But that was one of those, like, both of us were laughing the whole time leading up to it, just kind of like, well, this probably isn't going to work, but we're fine. And, like, you can see in the back of the boat, I'm out there having a great time. Just go, 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 go. This is going to be awesome. Where in the boat, you can see the in-cockpit audio and whatnot of, I am terrified because I don't know how this is going to go. And, like, the consequences of rolling over a boat, to me, are terrifying, but it's exhilarating all at the same time. So something we just want to keep doing. And, we've got a world championship coming up here in November. And the worst part is we really think we have a shot and can actually win this thing, which we're running, I think, currently second in points, oddly enough, having never done it before. It's dumb luck, but rather be lucky than good.
Yeah, you and Trav, like, I compare it like, in off-road racing, you can have a good co-driver. You can have a good co-driver that maybe you don't sync up well. It's like, you know what I mean? I've started having Brittany co-drive with me in the desert car, and her and I get each other in all these crazy, insane levels. And then we get in the race car, it's synced right. And you have to have that full trust factor. I mean, you and Trav, obviously, this isn't something you can practice. I'm assuming the first time they're expensive to run and everything else. Not like you just take your dirt bike out and, I'm going to go burn some laps. You don't do that in one of these boats. Like you and Trav, I'm assuming you have the trust factor. You guys have been friends for a long time. But, to me, it's crazy that at that level you guys have actually synced up where it actually works with you guys. And you can kind of read each other's, movements and what the other person's thinking without them saying it.
Yeah, maybe. I think we're still working on that. I mean, after this last race, it was really funny. So the race before this in Sarasota, it was kind of the complete opposite of like, you're being a sissy. These waves are nothing. We're having a great time. And like, I had just come off of doing a race that he wasn't able to throttle with me. And like the waves there were insane. And so I kind of knew what to expect coming into that one where he didn't, where just at this last one, I think he had been out in the boat a couple more times with a different driver and he knew what to expect and I didn't. So again, like where we're succinct enough of both, like, yes, we really think we can win. Yes, we are the complete opposite of experience and just like novice to a fault. But that's the one thing I think that works is we both have it doesn't matter. Let's go. If that guy can do it, we probably can do it.
Nice. So here's a question I've never even asked you. How the hell did you and Trav first meet, dude? Because we all have a Pastrana story, I feel like, how we first met or something like that. How'd you get involved with Trav and the whole crew?
Man, that story varies a few different ways. If you go back to like the first time I ever met him, it was New Year's No Limits where we snuck into the after party and I just happened to like the first guy I run into with me and my brother that like jumped the fence, didn't get seen and hauled our way up to the Red Bull after party was Trav. And we just got talking. He's one of those guys who's like, I don't know who you are. I don't know how how you got in here, but cool, let's have a drink or whatever. And I actually really met him the first time they were working on Nitro Circus 3D. Somebody broke the monster, they were trying to do that crossover scene, broke the monster truck. And I was working for the local gas station company, Maverick here. We happen to have a monster truck. They needed an extra hand wrenching. And so I went out that way and kind of just stayed kind of in touch here and there. And then, just always been one of those, like, they could call for whatever kind of stupid idea they had. And then it kind of really sank in when we moved to a company called Silencer Co. and we sponsored his NAS truck and a handful of different things. And then it's just been it's been growing ever since then. So, and we're still alive. So I guess we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
So he was always available for the abuse is what it was.
Yeah, more or less crash test dummy. Like me and I think Comb Over Steve, they're like, hey, this isn't going to work. Call the crash crew. And usually they're right. Like it didn't work, but we can be like, all right, so if you actually want to do this and not run into the landing like I just did, here's what you need to change.
It's funny. You've got me thinking back on a bunch of stuff now, but I just laugh because it's like, there's been some times with that. And I can remember one time it was one of my first times I was ever in a UTV and I just balled the thing up. And it was this massive double jump and I didn't have my timing right. And I saw a bunch of people overshoot the landing and they were wrecking because they were over jumping the double. And so I'm like, I can get this thing butter smooth. And I'm like, this isn't going to end well. Like you have to thread the needle here. And I'm like, you're either perfect, you have the perfect speed where you hit the landing because it's a short landing. You're short and you come up short and you wad it up, or you go long and you wad it up. And I remember, like, I got in behind the wheel and I'm going, this isn't going to end well. I'm ready to just crash and probably hurt myself right here. And I got in there and it literally airborne. I'm looking like, yep, we're going to crash. We're coming up short. Boom, hit the lip. Rolled over 4 or 5 times, you know what I mean? Blew my knee up and everything else. And I just laugh because I'm like, I remember that vividly going, yep, I'm getting in this and this is a bad decision. I'm going to hurt myself. And then I hurt myself and it was just like, yep, I was right. But I just laugh because I'm like, that was a isolated incident and it happens once in a while. I used to BMX ride and stuff. You go to the trails and you'd hit a set of trails, the first time and you're like, yeah, there's a good chance I'm going to crash now. But I just think like you do this on a daily basis where you're just preparing yourself to get hurt.
Oh yeah, no, it's one of those. It's like, yeah, this is definitely not gonna work. All right, let's go. I think that same thing happened. We were at Hubert's for his. He does like a redneck race right before Christmas, and he has a UTV track set up, and we were racing minivans. It's super muddy. I just and I go, hey man, we got to hit this jump. It's not that big. It's like a 30-foot gap. But again, in a minivan in like Tennessee mud is different from Utah mud. And it's slicker than snot on an iceberg. And you just can't get traction. We had big old mud tires on and we're going around the track and we're changing drivers. And I go, hey, it's the last lap. You and I both know I'm not going to make it. But am I good to try? He's like, well, yeah, but you're not going to make it. I'm like, no, I'm square into that landing, but I said I was going to do it. Can I try it? Like, I don't want to make him mad, but he's like, well, yeah, I go for it. Like, perfect. And yeah, like, sure as can be. I'm like, yep, way short, and just slam into landing. But I kind of knocked myself stupid, had a big knot on my knee, but got up the next day and was like, well, now we all have a good story and a good video. So you're welcome, everybody.
Well, I know that's what, I think Trav's always told me anytime I'm around him, he's like, you can do whatever you want. You can wreck whatever you want as long as it's on video. If it's not on video, you're in trouble. He's like, as long as it's on video, I'm good with you just destroying whatever.
Yep, that's it. And like, I'm literally wearing the shirt that he was like, you have to make that into a T-shirt, because I think one of the first pit bike races we did out there, it's a track for professionals that I am nowhere near. Like, I don't really have a business on 2 wheels, and then you put us onto a track where these are like the world top motocross athletes, and then there's me, and these, it's 40, 50 foot gap jumps and whatever, and I'm crashing on everything. And he's like, dude, what is going on? I'm like, I'm just here for the crash show, man. And he just laughs his happy ass off and then gets back to dude, that just has to actually be a T-shirt. That's amazing. And so I have a T-shirt now that says that.
I laugh because talking about minivans, Britt and I went back to ERX last year for the Nitro Rallycross. We had a couple things going there, and I'm laughing because you got some of the best Rallycross drivers in the world. You got this amazing track at ERX. You got some of the best UTV racers in the world, and then you've got the minivan race, and it stole the show. Like nobody can tell you who won the UTV race. Nobody can tell you who won the Rallycross race, but everybody remembers the shenanigans that happened in the minivan race. I'm like, dude, the stuff that you come up with is hilarious. And there's times like
the Van Prix, man.
Dude, there was like a double.
The sounds from the crowd. We all felt it. Oh.
Well, and we thought that was another really funny one. We thought we had all the airbags pulled, and I had never heard of like I guess floor airbags or side airbags, and we found out real quick that those exist. And people are just coming up off. I think me and my buddy JH, we had vans that were clearing it. Like as long as you didn't let up and just kept it pinned, you could make your way around that course. But it was really, really intimidating, and the consequences were kind of high if you were going to lift at all. So when people would, coming up short just ended so much worse, but that seemed to be what every other band was doing, which is great for the crowd.
Dude, radiator caps were blowing off.
Awesome pictures.
Oh, gosh. Dude, it was wild. I remember after that, too, like, we're at the bar after everything's all done, and Terry Madden walks up, and Terry was so pissed off because he'd come in just to do that race. And, like, I can't even remember what happened, but I'm like, and it was all for fun for the crowd. No, dude, you would have thought that was the Indianapolis 500 for Terry. Like, he was so pissed off, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, Terry, it's all right, bro. It's all right. No, dude, like, he was so, like, angry, and I'm like, it's a minivan race in backwoods Minnesota. You'll be okay, Terry.
Yeah, him losing to
okay,
me.
We were having FOMO too, though. Let's be real.
Like, yeah, no, I mean, everybody there was there to race, and we were the everyman sport of that because, you know, you look at, okay, that's a $500,000 rally car, or even like the next cars, or even the side by side, like, oh, these are, you know, $50,000 to $80,000 builds. Nope, we picked these literally all up off the classifieds yesterday. I think the most we paid for any of them was, oh yeah, we had hosed. It was like $1,700. I bought it from an actual used car dealer, and I'm like, tell you what, I'm gonna take this on loan. I'll bring it back. I can't tell you what condition, but then you got to give me my deposit back at $500. So, but we all took it, you know, serious enough that like we wanted to win, and we did a podium. And it was just really funny. As dumb as it was, everybody's there for competition, and it was a good time. But yeah, like even in the YouTube edit we made, it was, instead everybody had like a made up title, and Terry Madden, and his subtitle was Lost to Jim York.
Oh man, have you ever seen Levi LaValle has? And I haven't been back to it yet, and I get an invite every year, and Britt and I need to go this year. But at the end of every winter, he has he calls it the Try 5, and it's like you can spend $500 or less on a snowmobile. The race is 500 laps, and it's got to be 500 cc's or less. And they calls it the Try 5, and literally it is just a complete mess in the best possible way. But it's
that sounds amazing. And that, dude, I love that stuff. I love kind of that, like, I'm a classified guy. I come from pick this car up and just see what it can do, because that's so much more fun than a car telling you what it, like, you go with these race cars and these high dollar things, and it's like, well, this car should do this. Where I like to go the complete opposite of, like, this car, there's no way, but let's see. And it's just so much more fun that way. And like snowmobiles, whatever, honestly, same track, you know, rewind to February of that same year, and we did the same thing. We were out at Carlson puts on the Ditch Banger event, and it's the same type of deal where it's like $600 sleds, whatever. They have to be like pre-96. I had never raced snowmobiles in my entire life, but I had so much fun doing it. And that's where I think you can get, you know, it's a bigger crowd and everybody can look at it and say, I could do that. Like, you know, I aspire to race rally, whatever. Like, as a fan watching these different events, that may be what you're thinking, but like, these guys are having just as much fun, and they picked all this stuff up yesterday out of a classified off of the internet. Like, this is amazing. And these jumps are legit. This isn't faking it, but they're making it work. And I love that so much. To me, it's more fun. Like, you give me a rally car and I'm like, cool, I'm scared to break this. Put me the other way around. I'm like, let's see when this breaks, because I won't.
So there's another event that happens at ERX that not many people know about. It's called Jim and Britt's Christmas Classic, and it includes rental cars.
This sounds very unsanctioned.
It was very unsanctioned. No, we were just up there, and
it was an exposition.
It was an expo. Yeah, we have the proof of concept. No, it was quite funny. We were up there for the X Games Snowbike qualifier, and I was doing the announcing for X Games, and that deal got wrapped up, and everybody's hanging out and having a good time and stuff like that. And it's late at night, and snow's coming down. The track's completely covered in snow, and we have a Ford Escape. And needless to say, the Ford Escape made it on the ERX short course track in the middle of the snow, in the middle of the night, a couple days before Christmas.
No, it turned into the Escape.
The Escape.
See, I love that. I have a lot of friends that can't rent cars from any major rental car company anymore for those very reasons.
Yeah, we might be on that list now. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, we didn't say which rental car company.
Between that and the time trials after leaving Dirtfish.
Oh gosh. Yeah, we
the roundabout time trials.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah. Oh man. So, question though, let's talk a little bit about the Mint 400 this year, dude, and your limousine, because I know you got a thing for limousines. Did you guys end up last year having a limousine race after the minivan race? You guys are going to have a limousine race at the firm, right?
No, we tried to do limo racing. So I don't know. I just had an affinity for limos since I was born. I grew up in a Cadillac family, and like when they make limos, you end up buying limos, and it's a car that shouldn't do anything. So when you can race them, you can jump them, and you can take them off road. It's such an abnormal thing to see anywhere on a racetrack or doing anything of that sort. And it's always just been really, really fun for me to get in those cars. Again, and they're usually pretty cheap because nobody wants to store a limo, and I can attest to that because we have 12 of them right now. But it's one of those, like I kind of challenged myself. We got the world record limo jump. I jumped a limo through an RV, and then we did the limo race prior to the Freedom 500. And I was like, this is just awesome. Like, I love pushing these dumb cars to the limit of what they shouldn't do. And everybody else seems to enjoy it, and it's working out pretty well for us. So I had a friend hit me up and go, hey, what do you think about racing the Mint 400? And I go, well, of course, that sounds amazing. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it my way. And it's going to be in something ridiculous like a limo. And I had seen 4x4 limos. And then I got talking to Matt, who runs the Mint 400. And I said, hey, I wanted to make sure before I went and put forth any more effort, has anybody ever started and or finished the Mint in a limo? And he said, back in the 70s or, back in the early days of the Mint, somebody started, I think he made it about 5 miles and it broke. So I'm like, okay, game on. No one finished. And me thinking that the Mint was, postponed, kind of how it was after 2020. I thought they were going to run it again in December or whatever. Let's just put it this way. I thought I had 6 to 8 months to build this limo. And then I had, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. But we got it done. And that, I tell you, like you were talking about, the co-driver thing, I don't know how. So I raced it with Gabby Downing, and I don't know how we didn't end up wanting to just see each other at all ever again after that. But it was because we ended up cracked radiator 8 miles in, couldn't get it fixed. And so we're putting 5 gallons of water in this every 2 to 3 miles. Like, it just became stressful. It took us 11 hours to finish that whole race, but all we had to do was finish. And it got to a point about, I don't know, I think we were 60 miles in. It was a good opportunity to pull off the course, say, hey, we tried, didn't quite work. But then we get up to a checkpoint, and a guy goes, man, you just lost me $50. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah, I bet everybody you wouldn't make it this far. I'm like, oh, that lit the fire underneath our butts. All right, we're doing this thing. We're finishing. And it was one of those, I think we had to finish by 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And we rolled across that finish line backwards at 9:59.
That's in all of your things. I laugh because I'm like, you start talking about the radiator, and it's funny when you're having radiator problems, you immediately run out of water, like real quick. Have you ever had to go as low as pissing in the radiator?
Oh no, that was the best part. I'm sitting there like, we step out of the car, and I'm just standing over there in the bushes taking a leak, and Gabby, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? She's like, go in a bottle. We get I'm like, oh yeah, good call.
I did that one time.
Yeah.
It was funny. I did that one time in the 79 when I first started racing, and it was like, it literally was a midnight race, and it was like 125 degrees in Vegas in July at night, like on this dry lake bed. We were having overheating problems, and we didn't have any bottles or anything like that. So my co-driver and I were standing literally like over the radiator, like peeing in the hole of the radiator to fill it up, dude. It was fun. I'm like, if they had a video of this, like, it would be funnier than hell.
Why wouldn't you just reroute the catheter at that point?
What's that?
Why wouldn't you just reroute the catheter at that point?
I wasn't even wearing a catheter then, so that's something that I developed.
That was probably pre-catheter days. Yeah.
Catheters still trip people out because they're thinking like the surgical insertions into your bladder and stuff. Which I wear a catheter. I'm like, no, it's a condom with a tube. They're like, oh, they make those?
Yeah, I was
I'm like,
say,
I'm not having a catheter surgically inserted into me. Sorry. Yeah, that's not happening.
That seems excessive, exactly. But
yeah, I'll pee in my suit before that
well,
happens.
that's what I just – it's been cool to, like, that was another one. This isn't going to work. And then, like, 8 miles in, they're like, all right, we're done here. And then it just became, you know what? We're not done. This car's still running. We're still going. Like, why are we giving up? And, yeah, from pissing in the radiator to, like, bargaining with people for their drinking water and just kind of having to plug your ears because this car is just making every bad noise imaginable. I'm like, we grenaded this motor and transmission for sure. But, hey, we're still moving somehow, so let's go until it literally can't move. And that, I think, happened right. Like, we made it up to, like, the finish line, up on the finish line stand, and I had to tow it onto our trailer. So we put that thing through everything it had, and then it kind of gave up.
Well, I know Brittany and I were there, dude, and, like, that was the story of the thing, right, Britt? I mean, nobody was talking about trophy trucks or anything else. Like, everybody was talking about this limousine and how crazy these people were to try and enter at the Mint. And then you had other racers going,
and all these side bets, right?
Yeah.
You got pools. You had guys that were out staffing the course that had their own side bets on it. I mean, I rolled up. I talked to you when you guys were rolling it on the trailer the next day when you had to come extract it from the pit. And it was just one of those things where everybody loves an underdog story.
Yeah, no, and that was kind of it with it is, again, to just go back to what I love most, this isn't going to work. Perfect. Hold my beer. Like, let's go. It's the whole case. That's the story behind me and Trav racing that boat. It's like, wow, you have a guy that's never driven, a guy that's never throttled, and you guys are going to go do what and race where? That's not going to work. And here we are, second in the national championship race. Like, cool. That's anytime anybody says this isn't going to work, which I think has happened at every world record jump I've done, or just every, like, bigger stunt. Like when we jumped there, when I got the Hearst world record, we had nowhere near the run in we thought. When we did the limo world record, the rear end fell out of it 3 times before we jumped it. And they're like, dude, that thing's going to break before you get up. And I'm like, we'll see. And then jumped the hot tub limo. That was another one. Everybody's like, dude, the rear end's going to sink. You're going to buck forward and you're going to go, head over heels in that limo. Cool. I'll sit in the back. Trav, you drive, and I guess I'll hold it onto this tarp, that we basically built the swimming pool out of a tarp held in with drive screws. So no seatbelts. I'll just hold on to this and let's see what happens. Like it's just so much fun to be told, yo, you can't do it. It's not going to work. And then be like, ha! Look who's talking now.
Are you a three-wheeler guy? I got a feeling you got to be like a three-wheeler guy.
That just prolongs the story of this isn't going to work. First time I ever got on one was at Trav's, and I go, oh man, it was these little like 70 ATCs, and I go, oh man, somebody should backflip one, and you've got Troy Smalls and Smagical and all these, freestyle guys that can backflip with their eyes closed off a curb. And I can't backflip for beans. Like, I think I've landed one to a pit bike and maybe one to a mountain bike ever. And they're like, no, you should backflip one. And I go, well, dude, I've never ridden a three-wheeler. And they're like, you should backflip one. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I guess I kind of dug my own grave there. And that one was hilarious. I'm coming down the run into just the first time ever riding one. Trav's, brakes, you're going way too fast. Thinking I'm going to do another street bike Tommy and go over the foam pit, and it just goes right around. Cool, rather be lucky than good. And I think I did it one other time, and then they're like, all right, you're up. We're taking it to dirt. And I think I ended up being the first person to land at least a pit bike or a ATC 70 backflip to dirt, which this isn't going to work.
Somebody call Guinness. Guinness.
Yeah, Strondaland's just a weird place where it's not going to work until it does.
Britt, I think we found our guy. If we're ever going to bring Yamaha Rhinos back to desert racing, I think I found our guy to help us do this.
Yeah, well, only if we do the one with the 4-seat cage where it's higher in the back. We got to run all four.
Oh, gosh, the death seat back there?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Oh, have you seen those original Rhinos when they make the 4-seat conversions, York? And they'd put like a bench seat, and it was in the bed of the Rhino, and then they'd extend the cage out, but all the weight was over the rear wheels. Like, dude, they just used to be like the death trap. Like that, those were the death seats.
Well, and then you put your kids back there, right? Safety third.
Yeah, it just sounds like a Subaru Brat with like the like pilot seat, but a bench seat on a UTV. Like, this sounds nuts.
But it was like a Yamaha Rhino, which had no wheel travel, no horsepower, like, and the suspension was garbage. Yeah. So it was just literally they became known as the death seats. It's like everyone's like, oh, I did a 4-seat conversion.
But they did top out at like 30 miles an hour though.
So you couldn't get into too much trouble. Like, you just get maimed, you wouldn't die.
Oh, that's all you can really ask for anytime. Like, like that. That's
well, unless you're Jim, because apparently he doesn't get hurt ever. He's just Gumby.
He's gonna live forever.
Yeah, that's the problem. Britt and I, we get wounded, and it's like we're wounded for a while. So I wish I was Gumby.
Yeah, but it's never racing.
No, it's. I laugh because I'm like, that is so the truth. It's never racing. It's always stuff. It's stupid stuff around the house or something. Put on my sock. Oh,
that's always it. Yeah. It's not going to be racing or anything like jumping something that's going to get me. It'll be, I like choked on toothpaste one night or something like that.
Oh, that might actually be a quote.
Sandwich on a toilet, right?
Sandwich on a toilet.
Exactly.
I do know a guy that I will let him remain nameless because he'd kill me. But he literally was sitting on a toilet. And he was going to the bathroom so hard, pushing so hard, he blacked out, fell forward, broke his nose and his eye sockets because he blacked out on the toilet and fell forward. And because he blacked out, literally he went face first into the tile and just shattered the front of his face. And I'm like, dude, you've got to come up with a better story than that. Like,
yeah, no, I wouldn't like. I'd be like, yo. Too many people now know this because I'm not you, and you told me this story. Holy crap.
Yeah, it was one of those where I'm like, dude, you got to get a better story because that's not cool. I mean, it's funnier now, but not cool. But well, I think we are officially up against the time break, York. Britt, I don't know what we've talked about for the last 36 minutes on air, but dude, York.
This is what's golden, though, because I am so excited for the year we have planned ahead. Like, excited is just undertones for what we are about to experience the next year with the gym crew.
Yeah, well, and I'm excited.
Oh yeah,
because we've hung out. You've hung out with Britt and I think I met Gabby once in passing, maybe, or something like that. So I'm kind of anxious for the four of us to hang out.
Oh yeah, no, you can ask like kind of anybody. Like us by ourselves as individuals is like, it's a good time, and you put us together and it's chaotic. It's like a chaotic party, but it's good. It's not trying to one up. It just becomes amplified. So it's like if you had one speaker that was a little too loud, now you've just got a megaphone in front of it. It's amazing.
God, we're gonna have a whole damn sound system then.
Yeah. It's kind of how Britt and we elevate each other, like in a good way, not a bad way. So it's like
that's what I'm worried about, though. You put the four of us together, this might be a problem.
Oh, it's gonna be
or the perfect storm.
The perfect storm. That's it.
Wait, hold on. What is it that he said? This is never going to work. Here we go.
Here we go. Let's try.
Exactly.
Hold our beer. Oh man. All right, York. Well, always fun catching up, brother. And we will be back after this on the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone.